Today we're going to remove the nut from this Gibson Les Paul, and once we've removed it, we're going to replace it with an Earvana Shelf Nut. This is the one that cradles over the edge of the fingerboard and gives you all of the benefits of the Earvana tuning system. To do this, we're going to need a number of tools, but nothing too sophisticated. One tool we'll be using is a small hammer and a block of wood. Also, we'll be using a nice sharp scalpel or X-Acto craft knife. We may also need to resort to a saw. We've got a saw here. This is actually a Japanese one where it cuts on the pull stroke rather than on the push stroke, but a small saw may be required to cut through the middle of the nut itself if it can't be extracted the other way. That's pretty much all the tools we're going to need. Maybe a couple of small needle files just to clean up around where the nut comes out. First thing we'll need is a craft knife, X-Acto knife or scalpel. And what we want to do is we want to score around the paint on the edge of the nut. So we'll go down the side of the nut, the other side of the nut, along the bottom of the nut. And Gibson Les Pauls, do watch out because the nut actually sits down beneath the surface of the coloured paint. So you will have to decide where the nut actually starts, and sometimes it's about 1 millimetre or 2 beneath the coloured paint. So we've actually carefully scored that with our knife. We do the same on the other side, and also along this edge here where the headstock joins the nut. There we want to score along with the knife. So we've gone round the nut here, round the nut here, and across here. We've effectively broken the paint join. Right, so we're going to approach the nut here first with a hammer and the block. So we put the block up against the edge of the nut and tap lightly with the hammer. It's not a strong blow. It's literally just tap, 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 tap. Now, this one has already behaved itself and tipped over slightly, and I could probably just extract that. Now, the other thing I'll do is I'll go back the other way to the other side and tap it back up. May take a couple of times just going. Eventually it will work its way loose. Sometimes it can get very stuck in, and the secret is not to overforce it. Don't go wild, otherwise you could break something. You could actually damage some of the wood on the headstock here. But if you're lucky and a few taps actually dislodges it and you can actually extract it, then that's good. Now I'm going to put this one back in. I'm going to re-glue it to show you what has to be done when you get one that's very stubborn and you have to go in with the saw. So this one has come out, but we're going to put her back in and we're going to re-glue her and pretend that it won't come out with a hammer tap, and we're going to actually saw through it. We're going to pretend that this didn't come out before. I'm going to go in with the saw and I'm going to saw through the middle of it. Now what I need to do is I need to gently line up the saw so that it goes directly smack through the middle of the nut. So we start sawing away. Now this can take a little while and it's not the most fun to do, but just gently sawing until you get all the way down through it. Now depending what the nut is made of, obviously dictates how long you're going to spend sawing to get down through it. Be very careful, you're only going down through the actual material itself, you're not trying to go right through the guitar neck. So we're going to keep sawing down through this. And I'm going to stop the film and carry on and come back to it in a second. Okay, hopefully you can see we're already getting about 2/3 of the way down on this. I'm still going to go a little bit further. We're going to have to be very careful not to go too far. But the deeper we can get, the easier it's going to be when we have to crush the two halves together. We're going to take, once we've done that, our little sort of pliers. We're going to put them either side of the piece, and we're going to crush it so that the two parts fold in and can be easily extracted. Now, still going to take a little bit more cutting. Right, we're getting very close to where we want to be now, with the saw going down in the middle and cutting through. So the saw's in the middle and it's cutting through. I've got to the point where I think I should really stop sawing, put the saw down, come back to this with our cutters. Now these are actually fret cutting pliers, and we're going to sit on top, and with them I'm going to push the two halves together so that they crush into the middle. Now the nut is breaking a little bit, but it should allow me to get it out fairly intact. It may be that I'm going to have to go in with like a small chisel or something just to help clear the slot. We've crushed it with the pliers. Some bits have actually chipped and broken a little bit. Now we can still go in and tap as we did before, and that will help collapse the nut in on itself. And I can go back on this side and tap it again, and that will help the pieces come together. Okay, there we go. Got a lot of it out there. There's still a little piece that's caught in there. I'm going to have to go in with a little fine chisel and the craft knife and just extract that last piece out. Here we go. There it is. All comes out in the end. And we'll just tidy that up and the new nut can go in. Okay, you can probably see there's a tiny little bit left here. I'm just going to go in with the chisel. I'm just going to extract that last little piece out there. There we go. Out she comes. Now before I put the Earvana nut in, I'm just going to go through the little file and tidy up the base of that just to make it nice and tidy. So I'm using this file to clean up the slot here. This file is actually one from our friends at StewMac, and it's smooth on the side. There's no teeth on the side, so you've got this long flat side piece and just teeth on this edge. Now that actually makes it very easy to hold in the slot here, but you can use the small needle file or something else just to go in and smooth the bottom of that slot. This just also allows us to keep the bottom of the slot nice and flat, which will make it a good match for the flat bottom that we're keeping on the bottom of the Earvana. Okay, so that's all very neat now. And the Earvana nut here, now we've already taken a little bit of material off the side here because I did a test fitting just a few minutes ago, so it slides down into the slot. And we haven't had to take much at all, just where we're cleaning up that slot, it just fallen into place. But we could take a little bit off this bottom surface here. You'll see one of our other videos, we detailed that on an acoustic, showing that how we deal with that surface. And that just drops neatly into place.